It's
Cam
and Katie. And today I am very nervous. Why, Cameron?
Today we're going to talk about what Europeans really think about Americans.
I'm so scared. I've heard a few things from time to time, but Cameron hasn't told me the things that we're discussing in this video, so wish me luck.
So basically what we're going to do is go through a few stereotypes that Europeans have about Americans. And the aim of it is then to discuss how true or untrue that stereotype actually is. For those of you who know, I lived in America for 2 years. We visit America quite frequently. Caitlin, of course, is born and raised American. So I think we have the authority to dismiss or verify some of these stereotypes. Some of them are ones I've had myself growing up as a kid, based on different things I've seen and the way we saw America. And then some of them are more, I didn't really have them, but they're general European stereotypes. And I will say that a lot of these stereotypes are often based on movie portrayals and things like, and music and things like that. So if you're from America and you feel like none of these stereotypes apply to you, maybe you can blame Hollywood. So, you ready?
I think.
Stereotype number one. What Europeans think about Americans, number one. Americans are so friendly.
I knew he was going to say this.
Defo number one.
And I'm glad we're talking about this first to get it out of the way. We are very friendly, but a lot of the times when Europeans talk about it, it's in a negative light. And it is true, but it can get annoying. If you're at a restaurant and someone's being overly friendly to get a tip or something, that is annoying and it's ingenuine. But there are a lot of people who are American who genuinely are just kind people, and it comes off ingenuine to Europeans. So yes, it is true, we are very friendly, but it's not a bad thing in most cases.
I definitely agree. I think that Americans, to be honest with you, right? When I first went to America, I was a bit kind of weirded out by it. And I've told Caitlin about this, going into a shop or a restaurant, and they're like, have a nice day. And I'm like, I'm not used to that. We don't do that in Europe. So at first I was a bit weirded out by it. I was a bit like, it can come across fake, especially when you're not used to it. But the more I've lived there, the more Americans I know, I'm married to a beautiful one, the more I've come to realize that Americans overall are just very polite. They're just very friendly. They're just very positive, happy people. And again, we're talking very generally here. But I think it's a good thing. I think it is a true stereotype, but I think that a lot of the times, like Caitlin said, sometimes it's portrayed in a negative way, like, oh, Americans are so phony. And it can come across that way depending on the person. Yeah. But for the most part, Americans are very polite and friendly people, and so I think it's a good thing.
And if you are European and you visit America or you meet an American, we might be extra friendly to you because we think it's pretty cool you're European. That's true as well.
That's true. We can't really talk as Europeans because Europeans in general are more kind of keep their head down, keep to themselves. And I think it's something that should change. I think it is good to be friendly and say hello to people and say have a nice day to people. It makes everyone feel better. It's a nice thing. And I know when I first came back from America and I was telling people, oh, hi, how are you? People were kind of looking at me like, what's this guy's problem? But it's nice to be nice. So, Stereotype number two, or what Europeans think about Americans. How crazy Americans are about guns and the military.
It's true.
This one is true.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's just what we are. And if you're a Democrat, you might not be as crazy about the guns, but in general, it's what we can have, it's what we appreciate, we're very patriotic, and whether you think that's good or bad, it's true.
Yeah, it is a true stereotype.
We have the right to bear arms, and we are proud of it. No, I'm kidding.
I unleashed the American. Was not expecting. So this one is a true stereotype, but it's one that I completely understand and agree with. Once you understand American history and you understand how Americans got their freedom and the way they believe today, it's very understandable, and it's one that I agree with for the most part. But yeah, I think there's a statistic that there's for every 100 Americans, there's 110 or 113 guns. So there's lots of guns in America.
Very true.
Stereotype number 3, what Europeans think about Americans. Unfortunately, this one's a little bit negative, but a lot of Europeans consider Americans to be quite uncultured and to not know a lot about the world outside of America.
I think that's very, very true. And Cameron and I talk about this a lot. Most Hollywood films are American based and Americans play the role. So it's not really our fault. Cameron, he comes from Europe, and there's Ireland and England and France and Germany. So you're accustomed to culture. But I mean, every TV show I watch is American. Every state around me is very American. I think you feel like everything aside from America is foreign, and we feel like we're the normal ones. But
I think as well, America is such a big place. I think like 65% of Americans don't have a passport.
yeah,
And when you go there, you can tell why. Like, you know, in Europe, we travel to different countries for different things. You come to Spain for the beach. You might go to France or Italy for the food. Like, you go different places for different things. In America, you go to a different state for that kind of thing.
yeah,
Like,
you can find most wonders of the world in America. So a lot of people don't leave. And you know, if most films were Irish or British or German, I feel like we would feel less the norm. I do feel like we feel the norm as Americans.
yeah. And
That's true.
like I said, it's a big place. So if you want to travel, why not travel within your own nation rather than flying abroad? And
Yeah.
not to mention how expensive it is to fly abroad from America. So.
Yeah, because you need a passport to travel from Ireland to England to Germany, and Europe is like the size of the States, but in the States you don't need a passport to go state to state. You have access to all states, so it's just different.
Stereotype number 4. Americans are extremely patriotic.
I mean, every country should be about their country. We have a tendency to think we're the best country in the world, the greatest country in the world, but we are a massive country, and we do influence the world. So I don't think we're the greatest country in the world, but I understand why growing up I felt that way and I was taught to be patriotic, is because we do affect the world. But every country, if you're from Ireland watching this, from France, if you're from Belgium, if you're from anywhere, you should be proud of where you come from and be extremely patriotic. That's who you are. It's your nationality. So yes, we are. Yes, can we be too patriotic? Think we're the best? Yes. But think that way about your own country, I think.
I think my experience living in America, the average level of patriotism is definitely higher than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Like, the average American would probably have some American flag somewhere in their house or on their car or something like that, where the average Irish person or French person might not have an Irish or French flag somewhere on their property, you know. So I think the average level of patriotism is higher. But I think overall, the average American isn't as extremely patriotic as the stereotype would portray. The stereotype is like a big American guy wearing the American flag.
With a Harley Davidson.
American flag hat, American flags hanging out of his ears. Like, it's not that bad. So, stereotype number 5 is how big everything is in America. Especially in regards to like food portions and the size of the people. That's definitely a big stereotype.
Yes. I would say I feel like people think Americans are obese. Like, that's what they say. And I think fitness is a huge thing in America. I mean, a lot of the bodybuilders come from America. Fitness influencers on YouTube come from America. So I do think there is a correlation between big portion sizes and big people, but I think it is a generalization to say Americans are obese.
Yeah.
But American portions are big. There's no denying it. If you have a small Coke in America, it's like the size of a medium or large in Europe and we get unlimited refills. They don't. The portion sizes are ridiculous, but I have to say we have a huge array of different food to choose from. And it's very Americanized, but I do miss the food in America. It's delicious because it's unhealthy, but they go big with everything.
Yeah. I think what I notice in America is there's, I think America, when it comes to like health and stuff, you can find the extremes. I think other countries are maybe more in the middle, but like in America, you have people that are extremely healthy, and like a lot of like fitness and all this kind of stuff come from America. Like the idea of a gym and working out and building muscle, like that came from America. Like for anyone that's into it, like that's why Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to go to America. That's where this all stuff came from. So I think that they have both extremes. There are a lot of very big people, but there's also a lot of very healthy, health conscious people.
You find that anywhere in the world.
But I do think as well that, like Caitlin said, like the food is just, it's cheap and you can get so much of it.
And it's delicious.
It's delicious. Next stereotype. Politics is huge in America. Let me jump in right here. I think I can speak for this. In Europe, I think it's true. I think
I mean, look at
look at what's going on.
There's no explanation for this. It is.
Yeah.
It's Republicans against Democrats. Everyone in the world is tuning into national news, hearing about what's going on in America. Period.
It is. It's a very political place, and I think as well the people are more political, which I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to know where you align, where your beliefs lie. Do you lean more to the right or to the left? Are you more central? I think it's important to know those kind of things, to have conversations about it and to be able to talk about things. I think in Europe, and I'm speaking from my experience, people are quite ignorant, you know, like if you said to someone like, oh, are you on the right or left, they wouldn't know how to answer you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something we talk about a lot. Now if you get into politics, of course you can, but the general population don't really get political, where in America the general population at least know where they stand politically.
It's a part of our media every day. Period.
Heritage is everything in America. And I'm going to say this before Caitlin says anything. This is definitely true. When I was in America, if I told anyone I was Irish, they would bend over backwards to try to prove to me that they had Irish somewhere. They'd be like, my granny's sisters, cousins, brothers, dogs, uncles, nephew was Irish. We love
Europeans. Because a lot of us have European heritage, we think it's the coolest thing ever. Like I used to say, I'm Swedish. I have a little bit of German. And Cameron's over here like, I'm full-blooded.
Born and bred
Irish, so true.
Last but not least, Americans take very good care of their hair and their teeth.
Yes.
Definitely true. I mean, being European and living in Europe, like you could spot an American from a mile away by, first and foremost, their smile. Americans always have big, very
white,
well taken care of,
smile.
White, straight smiles. And secondly, their hair. I don't know what it is about American, especially the women. Their hair just always seems to be so silky. I mean, Caitlin has beautiful hair, I tell her all the time. But that was like, for me growing up as a kid, like walking down O'Connell Street in Dublin, it was like you could tell who the American tourists were by how well groomed they were. Like it stands out.
I think a lot of people think all we want is to look perfect and have perfect teeth. But I think this is a misconception because we're taught to go to the dentist every 6 months, and we're taught how unhealthy your teeth can be when they're crooked. You can't clean them properly, floss properly, brush properly. So a lot of people think, oh, you guys just have to have perfect, straight, white smiles, but we're taught the health of teeth. And as a dental assistant, I would teach.
I was going to say, Caitlin's passionate about this.
I love teeth. I do think good, straight teeth is healthy teeth. It's important. Every country has stereotypes, and every country has a unique culture. So I hope none of you were offended by this. I was trying not to be, because it was my first time hearing what was on this list.
In fairness to Caitlin, she had no idea the list. I didn't tell her beforehand. But if you stick around, you'll find out what Americans really think about Europeans.
Yes, exactly. So stay tuned for our next videos. We're going to be posting every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So please stay tuned and
like and subscribe.
Thanks for watching.